You may recall that last month, the Arizona Republic made news when it endorsed Hillary Clinton for president. It was the first time in the paper's 126-year history that they'd endorsed a Democrat instead of a Republican for president. The Arizona Republic used to be called the Arizona Republican. It is as Republican a paper as they come. But since they decided to break that partisan line this year for the first time ever, the paper and its publisher have been getting threats. And one of the threats was an anonymous caller calling the offices of the paper, invoking the name of Don Bowles, threatening that because the paper didn't endorse Donald Trump this year, more Arizona Republic reporters might meet the same fate that Don Bowles did. Yesterday, the president of the Arizona Republic, Mia Parrish, she responded in print, and it is a remarkable response. She says, "As someone who spent a career in the business of words, it's unusual to find myself speechless. Yet there I was a little more than 2 weeks ago. What is the correct response, really, to this? You're dead. Watch your back. We will burn you down. You should be put in front of a firing squad as a traitor." She writes, "To the anonymous caller who invoked the name of Don Bowles, he's the Republic reporter who was assassinated by a car bomb 40 years ago and threatened that more of our reporters would be blown up because of this endorsement. I give you Kimberly. Kimberly's the young woman who answered the phone when you called. She sat in my office and calmly told 3 Phoenix police detectives what you had said. She told them that later she walked to church and prayed for you, prayed for patience, for forgiveness. Kimberly knows free speech requires compassion. To those who said we should be shut down, burned down, who said they hoped we would cease to exist under a new presidential administration, I give you Nicole. Nicole is our editor who directs the news staff, independent of our endorsements. After your threat, she put on her press badge and walked with her reporters and photographers into the latest Donald Trump rally in Prescott Valley, Arizona. She stood as Trump encouraged his followers to heckle and boo and bully journalists. Then she came back to the newsroom to ensure our coverage was fair. Nicole knows free speech requires an open debate. To all of you who asked why we endorsed or what right we had to do so, I give you my mother. She grew up under an occupying dictatorship with no right to an education, no free press, no freedom of religion, no freedom to assemble peaceably, no right to vote, no right to free speech. She raised a journalist who understood not to take these rights for granted. The journalists I introduce you to here walk into the newsroom every day to do their jobs. When they do, they pass by an inscription that fills an entire wall floor to ceiling. It's 45 words long. It's an idea that is in my thoughts a lot these days. It is the First Amendment. Joining us now is Mia Parrish. She is the president of the Arizona Republic and Republic Media. Ms. Parrish, thanks very much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate you making time to be here.
Thanks for having me, Rachel.
Let me just ask first about your decision to write this remarkable response. Obviously, you have to consider that you are publicizing the threats that you have received. I wonder how your own thought process figured into this and how you decided to do it.
Initially, I was not going to write about them, and that isn't something that we do. As you know, and as journalists know, that is part of the deal. You know, I don't say that they're commonplace, and I'm not taking them lightly, but our journalists understand that is part of what happens. When we received those threats, I spoke to the police, I spoke to Homeland Security, we spoke to the FBI, and we took additional precautions because you just never know. But as time went on and threats accelerated as well as extended outside of the building beyond our journalists, who again do understand that that's part of the work that they do. And those threats included people heckling, threatening, hassling, spitting on our really kids who go door to door selling newspaper subscriptions.
Wow.
And people in the stores who were selling subscriptions were having guns flashed at them and trying to threaten them to not subscribe. And calls were coming in saying they would stop our carriers from driving through the streets. And to me, the idea of people being so dark that they would threaten kids just selling newspapers door to door for disagreeing with an opinion that wasn't even expressed by them. It was time to talk about that.